I was like,
I mean, priorities. Your priority was to get the flights, not to do the draft.
Yeah, I could. The season's going to be what it is, right? It was more.
You get like a grade though after like what did it tell you what you're?
Yeah, I'm projected to finish second.
Yeah, I mean that's not so bad.
A snake. You don't have to even be awake. To do it.
Welcome to our Film Fathers podcast, the definitive podcast about fatherhood, film, and fatherhood in film. This is Jelani, and with me as always are Huckleberry Hound and Clementine the Tangerine, Martin and Brady.
Too many guys think I'm a concept, or I complete them, or I'm going to make them alive, but I'm just a fucked up girl who's looking for my own peace of mind. Don't assign me yours.
Well, technically speaking, the operation is brain damage, but it's on par with a night of heavy drinking. Nothing you'll miss.
This week, we received a letter in the mail that someone had erased us from their memory. Luckily, we were still able to watch one of the best movies of 2004. Perhaps one of the all-time greatest screenplays ever written, that happened to feature a perfect lead couple in Jim Carrey and Kate Winslet, both of whom played against type and did it fantastically. We won't soon be erasing this movie from our minds, and at 20 years old, how does it hold up?
Chef's kiss. It held up just perfectly.
Am I correct that this was one of your favorite movies of all time?
Yeah,
I feel like maybe you told me that, maybe I assumed it, I don't know.
It's funny that you mentioned that because, I when I remember it, I will say, yes, it's one of my favorite movies. And I always forget to when people ask, you're on the spot, like, oh, what are your favorite movies? This one rarely gets put into the list because I always forget about it, which is funny enough, ironic enough, I guess, given what the movie's about. But yeah, just watching it, again, I watched it with Lindsay. It's been on my list to watch with Lindsay forever because it is one of my favorites. And I'm very glad that it held up. And also, funnily enough, we were talking about movies just in general, and somewhere along the line I said, I'm like, oh, it's not a perfect movie. And then my nephew Cam asked me, he's like, well, what is a perfect movie in your mind? And I was like, oh, that's a good question. And I was just thinking,
oh man,
and I didn't
I'm surprised Martin made it to the pod tonight.
right,
just sitting on the floor, curled up, trying to think of the
I'm
perfect movie.
I'm going to call him in 2 days and be like, I have an answer to your question. And we just got to I'm just the best I could do is probably tell you a couple directors, mention Nolan and Denis and stuff like that. But then I was watching this movie and finished it, and I'm like, that might be a perfect movie. In a lot of ways, it's an amazing screenplay. You mentioned the character, the cast, not just Jim Carrey and Kate Winslet, but everybody else. I think is great, and it's just I think it's a damn near perfect movie.
All right,
you guys,
hold on to your seats.
Oh, first timer,
first time.
I think you told us that last week.
Yeah, and I think I know why. I wouldn't have appreciated this movie when I was younger.
In 2004?
In 2004, I would have thought it was too weird, didn't make any sense. And watching it now that I'm older and I watch a lot more movies and a lot different movies, this was really good.
Yeah.
It was really good.
I don't think you give yourself enough credit for when you were younger.
I don't, but he wasn't a very intelligent dude back then. He was too busy trying to spin records at Jake's. So, I really like Kate Winslet a lot, and she did excellent.
And what you said, playing against type, that's exactly right. Both of them did such a good job being not what they're known for.
I think the obvious one is Jim Carrey being against type, but I think in reality they're both doing it, and that's something to be said. I think maybe just because he's so outlandish and, or known for that, at least it was at the time, that it seems a little bit more obvious. But I do think it's both. And she's just, you're right, Jelani. I mean, she got nominated. I mean, she's amazing.
For this movie?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know that.
And deservedly so.
Yeah. She was so good.
Yeah. And I'd say he was really good too. Subdued, obviously, and maybe because it still resonates because it was so against type, but in general, I think they both just were perfectly cast, and
a lot of chemistry. They just were a believable couple for the opposites attract reason, and it just ended so well with this. He's just like, okay,
Yeah, it may
She's like,
suck.
you're gonna be bored. You're gonna be bored of me, or I'm gonna get bored of you because that's what I do. And he's like, okay,
but
at
at least we get to go through it.
Yeah, it's so good.
It's funny that you had a note here, Martin. Total Recall.
Yeah,
because that's literally the first note I took was Charlie Kaufman meets Total Recall.
I was gonna write something down like we didn't go to Recall. We went to what's it called? What was it? Lacuna.
Yeah, but that's exactly what I felt was when I was watching. I'm like, oh, I would have gotten the plot and the storyline of this if it was given to me like Total Recall was. Like very similar idea, but like that's where I would have been. My mindset was in like 2004, and then now I'm like, yeah, this is good. Like,
but like,
understand.
Did you go back and rewatch the first sequence when he's on the train and everything? Because I think it becomes on a rewatch, it rewards you a lot because that's not where they're meeting. You know what's happening. It's that their minds were just they're re-meeting for the first time.
Yeah,
and I think it's so fun to go back and see it because they act it so well.
Yeah.
That way
they do, and there's just little things along the way that are, I think, subtle enough that you wouldn't necessarily put it to. I don't think you're like, oh, I figured it out, on your own, which is fine when like Martin said, but for like him not knowing. Oh My Darling Clementine. It's like an obvious song, but
that's the one. Yeah,
you would just have a hesitation. You're like, who doesn't know that song, right? Like obviously, but it's like, all right, whatever. Weird. He doesn't know.
I didn't even put it together until this viewing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like I didn't. I don't, or maybe I did, but I didn't think about it, or I didn't realize it until this time.
It would have been erased because it was associated with her.
Yeah,
can you play it on the piano?
Probably.
Yeah, it's not very
hard.
I
I could play it by ear probably, but I don't know it right now.
But yeah, I think that Train 2 is one of, obviously it's the whole movie, but there's such a spectrum of her on that train. I mean, she's all over the place to the point that you're like, I'm almost weirded out.
Maybe don't get involved with this girl.
It's like, you kind of know from the narration that he's awkward and maybe not frequently, with girls and women, but he is kind of into her, but also it's like, you should be scared at some point. And I saw one note, like she hit him on the train, like she punched him, and that was not in the script. So him being like very caught off guard and surprised was, an honest reaction, which I feel like probably that stuff happens a lot more than we realize in a lot of movies, and it pays off, I would imagine, a lot of times. As long as the actors know that kind of no matter what happens, you keep going.
Yeah.
Fight through that burp.
No burp, just so bourbon hasn't soaked the throat yet.
I mean, it's like that the scene in Heat, right? We talked about it when Al Pacino just goes off about her great ass, and it's just I think it's Hank Azaria or someone that reacts to it because it just doesn't expect it. So yes, exactly one of those things. It just makes for good movie moments,
right? And credit to the editors for not cutting that part out, right?
Yeah.
Like saying, oh, this one is out, or the director for like leaving it and saying, hey, that worked, like that plays. But yeah, it was well done. You felt for both of them, as you're watching the film, and you're like, okay, this guy's all buttoned up and not really ready to explore the world, and then he meets somebody who is going to change his whole view, and then you can see it all like falling apart. I did like that too, like the whole aspect of like things starting
where
to
the
fade
world's
away,
literally collapsing
as they were melting away and trying to figure out like what can stay. One of the questions I had was when they're in the bookstore, and he's trying to like remember her, and they're like running through the different rows and stuff. Was that the start of the reversed book trend? Because they reversed all the books, so you didn't see the titles.
Or they just started becoming blank. I thought
they were blank.
It did. Yeah, right.
Maybe subconsciously somebody saw that and was like, "Oh, maybe this would be a good trend."
We don't want to see the spines or the titles. We just want to see a bunch of pages because of 2004, Eternal Sunshine.
When they were in, I should have documented kind of more exactly where it was in the movie, but when they are in his memory and they are trying to essentially run and they're out like running on the ice, and the spotlight's kind of like following them around. I definitely had to know. I was like, man, this is like Truman Show esque. You know that they're at least it felt like at least in that moment exactly, it was not a nod, but it had a parallel vibe to the Truman
and
Show.
The same actor, obviously.
Yeah.
And I like how they work backwards through the memories, and then they say like, "Oh, there's our house," and you're like, "What are they talking about?" But then, obviously, the first night that they met, that they were
on the beach,
on the beach in the house, and the house starts falling apart. Just the way that the dream world, or
his memory
world, it was built, and the way they kind of portrayed all that, and the scene where they're under the covers, and he's just like trying to like. Keep it, but
very cool.
I want to keep this one, and he's like struggling to pull up or crawling at the like pulling at the blanket, but it's not working. Just very cool visuals, and that's the director who does a lot of music videos. Michel Gondry, I believe is how you say his name. And then Charlie Kaufman.
What kind of music videos are we talking about?
I don't know, but that's what I think that's what he was known.
French
for.
stuff.
I wish you didn't ask me that because I don't have it. I don't have it in front of me. But
there were a lot of scenes I feel like with the director. This is such a convoluted story, and then to put that into the visual, you're repeatedly in and out of dream sequences / the backgrounds are fading, people's faces are fading continually. I like that a lot. Like you were in one and it would go away and you'd cut back and like things were starting to disappear. Like just a book, like I said, a book title or a picture in the background was blank, and it's just like all those little things. I just think that the way he went about like displaying that and presenting that was unreal. It felt like it I feel like the odds of getting this wrong are so much higher than getting it right.
Right.
Yeah.
And like it didn't really seem like a lot of CG. It just felt like a lot of, they did forced perspective for him when he was like they do an Elf, for when he was a little kid, which was an interesting and kind of trippy visual. And obviously there was CG, but nothing felt overly done. It just felt really good. And I got the list. He's worked with Daft Punk, White Stripes, Chemical Brothers, The Vines, Radiohead, Beck, and there's the Beck song that ended this movie as well, which I think may have started as well.
Good music throughout.
Yeah, just a good low key kind of vibe. So everything just fit very well. And speaking of all those dream sequences, it's really just the way the script is written by Charlie Kaufman. Have you seen? Looking at Jelani. Any of his other movies other than Adaptation, which we did?
Adaptation, we did.
Yeah.
Have you seen Being John Malkovich?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And those are the big ones, I think. He's done some other stuff in recent memory, but I would say those three, or this one and those two, are the big ones for Charlie Kaufman scripts.
Yeah, I had to suffer through some Cusack for that one, but I made it through. Malkovich was enough holdover.
Right. He'll pull you through. What about the supporting cast?
I really more than I remembered.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't remember Ruffalo was in this. I really didn't remember.
It was before he was really big. But I think you and I knew him from Last Castle or something. Maybe which might have been around this time.
Oh, that's really funny. Yeah, I didn't remember Kirsten Dunst. Tom Wilkinson. You have definitely a good. They're obviously they're pivotal to
Elijah Wood. So creepy and good, perfect.
They did a good job of like he's out of shot on a lot of initially you're catching a glimpse. We know who he is, but excuse me, we know who he is, as an actor, but from his memory, Joel's memory, you're just catching like an eye or a little part of the face, and he's behind. The library is behind this and behind that, so he can't put two and two together.
But he hears them talking when they're erasing memories, and that's why he's putting it together that it's this guy.
Stealing his shit.
He calls her Tangerine when her hair's blue. You weirdo! You don't know what you're doing. Stealing her panties.
How many times do you think he's done that before?
Not one. The answer ain't one.
You talking about Elijah Wood?
No, I'm talking about the character Patrick. Like, how many times has he like tried to swoop in on somebody who got their memory erased?
Well, this might be the first time because he was like, "I have a girlfriend." You think he'd maybe say that more often if it wasn't. But yeah, that the whole B story. I remember. I think the first time I was like, "Why are they focusing so much on them?" But then it is a big payoff that I think is another great part of the movie. That does have a very satisfying B story in the Tom Wilkinson and his wife and Mary. What's her
Kirsten
name?
Dunst.
Kirsten Dunst.
Yeah.
Character. Yeah.
Do people still have those deep thought conversations on weed when they're smoking weed?
Yeah, probably.
You think so?
Depends on what kind of weed you got.
Yeah, it depends if you got the good.
I just
got
feel
that
like
good Kush from Iowa City. KB.
Get that good KB from Iowa City. I just feel like now it's because it's legal.
J-Mac and I did not have deep conversations.
Right. Like now people I feel like just like, yeah, I smoke enough to like go get by and I know where my limits are.
I think without a doubt.
It's very much a creative muse for a lot of people.
Still,
for sure.
And they feel, or maybe they don't actually have good thoughts, but they feel like they're having good thoughts.
But I mean, I had a deep conversation this weekend with a friend. I mean, we weren't smoking weed, but it's just a situation. If you're around people that you can sit and talk with, then I think it lends itself to
some more of just like a relaxer and let the guard down.
Yeah.
I just feel
going
like
deep.
I feel like that was like the big thing. Like that's how you know you're on weed because you have these like deep insights or so-called deep insights like this, or like Jon Stewart in Half Baked when he's talking about, you ever see this on weed? I'm like, that's how it was just like trending. But now I feel like people are like, yeah, you don't do that.
I've been wanting to do stoner movies for a while, like Half Baked and some other ones.
Probably
that should probably come up.
We can definitely do that. We've got to get high while we do it, though.
Might be remote.
Yeah, I think it was, like I said, for the first time watching it, it was good. I really enjoyed it. And
did you watch it with Jen, or had she seen it?
No, I just watched it by myself, and just timing didn't work out. But
Mary came in a couple times throughout and was like, kind of just looked for a couple minutes, like, what are you watching? I was like, oh, the movie. Said she'd never seen it, and then came back in and she's like, oh, so it's got a young Jim Carrey in it? I was like, yeah, I guess. And then she came in and she's like, that's kind of what I thought. And then
it's kind of old.
And then like 20 minutes later, she's like, oh, a young Mark Ruffalo too. And I was like,
definitely young Mark.
It's 20 years old. They look younger than they do right now, for sure.
Kirsten Dunst young for sure.
Very, yeah.
Because Spider-Man was 2001.
So yeah, maybe even was it that? Yeah, that's probably.
I think it was 2001 or 2002.
Two.
Because I remember the trailer. The original trailer for it was
the Upside Down Kiss. Of course, everyone remembers.
No, the original trailer was Spider-Man captured these bad guys that were escaping in a helicopter by putting up a web in between the Twin Towers, like a gigantic web. And obviously, they took that one away.
They didn't use that one.
They did not use that one. But yeah, so she was actually young, and Elijah Wood, Lord of the Rings, would have been before this, shortly after it.
I mean, I can't look up all this stuff on a whim.
I think right around the same time.
Right around the same time.
Yeah. But never really liked Elijah
Michael
Wood.
Clayton, Tom Wilkinson.
Right? Yeah.
Just trying to make Brady work
in the bedroom,
harder.
Maybe. When was that?
2001 was Fellowship of the Ring, but that was also probably filmed 2+ years before that. So technically, it was 01 Fellowship of the Ring, 02 Two Towers, 03 Return of the King, into this. So this would have been
coming off
again where those got filmed, and
right.
He probably filmed those and then literally could go do other stuff, and it still hadn't come out yet. So
right. Which is why he probably is lower billed on all of this, too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a small role, but...
Yeah. Small role, done well.
Yeah, I think you're right. He's just a creepy, for multiple reasons. But, I mean, he plays it really, really well.
Yeah.
And, I couldn't quite remember when the knock on the window of the car. I was like, I know there's, like... something here, and I know there's a reason for this. I just can't put it together. I think I'd forgotten that he actually tried to hook up or whatever with Kate Winslet's character.
So when I
knew he was involved with the company, but
when I first saw that scene, like in the beginning, and you see him knock on the window, I was like, I wonder if it's like a fugue state where it's like he envisioned this woman, you know, kind of like Memento, right? Where he doesn't realize like what has happened. He's forgotten. Obviously, he has forgotten, but it was like this happened in the past, but he's not really recognizing that he's now in the present. And this guy's like, "Why are you in front of my house?" or whatever. But it was a rewarding payoff to like see how it all played out, you know, down the road.
So yeah, we mentioned a lot of trippy, memory, dreamy type sequences where things get whatever. There's no rules when you're in a mind. So what are some of your favorite like dream sequences or things that take place in someone's mind in film?
I was definitely ready for this question.
I'll get you started with the Big Lebowski.
Sure. The bowling.
There's two of them, right? And I generally speaking, I don't like them. I don't like the dream sequences. And in this movie, obviously, it's very necessary, and it's the whole movie, and it's done so well. So, if outside of this probably is my favorite in Eternal Sunshine. But outside of that, I don't mind the ones in Big Lebowski either, because it is kind of a stoner movie, and it's funny, and there are little nods to what he's thinking about, and it's just a glimpse into his mind, which is very simple. So I like
focused on bowling and
right, exactly.
Coitus.
Right. I mean, perfectly said. That's exactly right. Yeah, that's what he's thinking about all the time. And that's the only one I can think of. I mean, I can think of maybe some other ones. Maybe The Burbs, but it's not a good one. No. I can only think of bad ones. So
I mean, you
like I said, I don't like them.
We talked about. I mean, we haven't done it yet, but Inception.
Yeah,
like a lot of that is dream based,
and
right?
it's the whole concept of the movie, and that's one of my favorite movies. So,
right.
Yeah, it's got to be part of the plot. I don't like it when it's like a sub.
When it's just like a throwaway,
just a throw-in kind of thing.
We needed a filler.
I just Googled it because I was trying to
maybe drug sequence
spark the memory,
could probably go to like
from Collider. They got Big Lebowski at 10, Dumb and Dumber at 9.
Dumb and Dumber probably is
because it's silly though.
Silly.
I think your issue probably stems from it being serious and maybe more plot, like relevant. Whereas Dumb and Dumber, you're safe there.
Happy Gilmore on there?
Well, actually, I just realized that they're also doing TV shows.
Oh.
Yeah, Happy Gilmore. It's a memorable one for us.
Doing the bull dance, feeling the flow.
Right. Chubb's got his hand back.
Yeah, this it's.
Is Dream On there? Because it's a.
We got a scroll issue with a freaking boatload of advertisements here. Dr. Sleep, Martin, you saw that.
Yeah. Mike Flanagan.
Yeah. Prince of Darkness, 87.
I'm going to
sound right.
Pull up. Prince of Darkness. I just watched that recently.
Which one was
I don't remember much of it.
Which of the Nightmare on Elm Streets was
American
all about
Werewolf
dreams?
in London.
Oh, I love Nightmare on Elm Street.
Heathers, number 1, 1988.
Yeah, Heathers is good. I don't really remember the dream. I probably should.
Never seen it.
And then drug trip wise, they mention Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. That makes sense. Some sequences there.
Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah, that could be good. Midsommar. You guys haven't seen Midsommar yet.
I saw it.
Oh, you did?
I did.
Did you guys like it?
You didn't. You would have never guessed me to watch that.
I would have never expected you to watch it.
No, I haven't seen it yet. I went to go watch it on one of the streamings, and it was gone by the time I got around to it. But
it was one of those that I think one of the few times I've like heard buzz about something, and
you were actually intrigued.
Decided to give it a shot, even though when I read about it, it was not enticing to me. But
it's on Max apparently.
Oh,
I might have to throw it on this weekend.
If Hereditary's on there too, that's another Ari Aster movie. Hereditary's so good.
Hereditary.
As we're coming up into, we might have to do it for Halloween season this year too.
So the one that
our friend of the pod is in for all month.
Yeah.
As long as we're on Wednesdays.
I'm ready.
The one that I was thinking about potentially is Long Legs.
Yeah, I really want to watch that.
Yeah, I talked to him about that. He was
nonplussed.
He didn't.
I think
he thought it was okay.
That's one I think I could get Jen to watch. I could convince her to watch it because it's more like the
Thriller.
thriller.
And it's got Nick Cage.
I mean,
right?
That
everybody loves
might be a
this.
negative. Well, really, I'm pretty sure Mary would be anti Nick Cage on the whole spectrum.
No, I think the more of the thriller and the psychological thriller aspects might be able to.
Did we do Pig ever?
Pig. No.
We should do Pig. Pig was real good.
Pig, dog, and give me one more single animal film. Wolf? Jack Nicholson?
Wolf. Yeah. Wow, there you go. That's not bad. I don't know why, but it's not bad.
Wait, was the terrible Channing Tatum movie? Was that called Dog?
Dog, yeah.
Just Dog.
Oh, you said Dog.
Yeah,
he said
Pig, dog,
said
and wolf.
Pig, dog, and wolf. Is
Just
there a
one.
cat? I know there's cats.
There's
but
cats,
that doesn't
but
count.
no.
We
I
need
went
singular. Singular animal. Otherwise, it doesn't work.
We got Lion, Dev Patel, and
Ooh,
Nicole
no.
Kidman. I actually have seen that.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
That we can do that instead of dog, so we can avoid Channing Tatum for Brady.
Please. It's only right.
Pig's probably the best one out of all of them.
Oh, really?
I feel like you guys would enjoy it. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Well, we'll put it on the list.
But yeah, we got off on a
Am I
tangent.
typing one name animals into IMDb? I don't know. Tangents are what it's all about.
Yeah,
but,
speaking of dream sequence or drug sequence,
I will tell you I made a note because I didn't do too much research, but when I saw the opening, I was like, yeah, I feel like this is instantly it was one of the first focus feature films that I immediately remembered was focus features.
I feel like I know what you're saying.
And I even looked it up. It's a hard thing to narrow down, but because they have they went by there was other companies that kind of filled it in, so it all theoretically it all is part of their deal. But there was a good stretch there in the
Early aughts.
I don't think there's an
Not
N.
knots.
Yeah,
Sorry, I said it wrong.
that
We're not
makes
at sea.
Makes it sound like it's not that. It was a stretch there where and this contributed to that, where at least I felt when you saw focus features, you're like, this is going to be a much better movie than what you could expect to see with some of the other
I
studios.
feel like it was Miramax in the 90s, Focus Features in the aughts, and A24 in the last
and A24 is taking that
decade
reign for sure.
Yeah, kind of taking that reign. So, yeah.
But it wasn't. I mean, it appears that this was not by any means the first movie, but
Yeah.
it is one of those that I.
But a
remember.
standout.
Well, The Pianist was earlier than that, and it literally won Best Picture. Or did it win Best Picture?
I think it got.
Yeah. Or
Are you talking about the piano?
nominated.
Or the
Maybe I'm thinking of The Piano.
So piano is with Anna Paquin?
Yes. And Holly Hunter?
Yeah, and then the
For some reason,
pianist
I was
is,
thinking The Piano.
Adrian
is
Brody.
Brody.
Yeah. So it was nominated on that lower.
That's where he
Studio.
really took advantage of having Halle Berry to present the award, and he gave her a big old kiss when he won.
Yeah.
Yeah, good job, Adrian.
Fuck yes. I just watched there's a movie on Netflix with her and Wahlberg, The Union.
I've never
yeah.
seen it.
Decent?
It's decent's the ceiling.
Someone
Decent
said
phrase.
It's right up our alley.
Yeah.
It's an action. She works for
The CIA or something.
no, but
Unnamed
she works for
agency.
the Union.
The Union,
and essentially pulls him in. It's interesting is that they have there's some chemistry there, right? But they never kiss. And
It's like Twisters.
it's of note because then at the end they show a bunch of pictures of them both when they were younger, in Hollywood and around. So my Redding and I were talking about this, and so my hunch was that they just are really good friends, and they're like, yeah, well, we'll do a movie together. We're not gonna kiss,
Not be romantic leads.
yeah. Even though it was very much there, but her hair is not great, but she's amazing.
Yeah.
And she looks very much like she did not have any work done. And I just love her for that.
Should we do that with Ghosted?
We shouldn't do it at all. No.
It's like a 38% on Rotten.
You can watch it, and it fits a little bit of the stuff we like, but we definitely do not need to do that for the podcast. It's gotten more time on the pod than it should have already.
It's gotten a lot of airtime here.
Well, somebody might want to watch it. You never know.
Sorry, where are we going on Halle Berry? Sorry, got distracted. Maybe we do Swordfish.
I mean, Kate Winslet in this one, like we've talked about already, but yeah, I mean, definitely probably a bigger crush on her in this than any other movie, and that's including Titanic. Like, yeah, it's love her character, and I think she just looks great.
Yeah, she did a really great job, and I guess I don't know where like the first movie because
Titanic.
I didn't know. I didn't watch Titanic when everybody else came out with it.
Asked and answered.
I have seen it since.
Creatures or something like that.
But I don't know what it was, but I did go down the rabbit hole and see that she was in like a couple of Soderbergh films. She was in Side Effects that we had talked about, which I actually may go back and watch. And then Contagion, but there was like everybody was in that. And then obviously we watched her in Mayor of Easttown.
Yeah. That was so good.
Really good.
I'd like to watch that again. But the first thing might have been Heavenly Creatures in '94.
The Holiday with Jack Black and Jude Law.
Did enjoy that.
There was a note, and for some reason I thought of you, Martin, when I saw this. The character of Clementine is widely regarded as one of the most iconic female characters in film, in part due to her rejection of the manic pixie dream girl trope, a term coined 3 years after this film's release, and exclaiming that the quote that you read.
That's why I picked it.
I'm not a concept. She destroys the notion of a wild female character completing a man's wishes.
Love it. Yeah, I didn't see that. I swear, but that is exactly why I picked that because we've talked about the manic pixie dream girl from Garden State.
I picked
Brady. I love you,
that
man.
Note. I wanted to make sure, and again, it felt like you. It felt like it was relevant to you
because there are times when she seems that, and he's like, I can't think of anything about you that I wouldn't like, but and she says, no, that's not true.
I saw some things I wouldn't like.
So yeah, I love that too, that it's not just like
namely the Bombay Sapphire.
Not a gin fan?
Yeah, I don't mind. I don't really mind the gin per se, but
you wanted the whiskey?
Yeah, let's at least
the Johnny.
Give me something to drink.
We had the Johnny, and he thought he had more of it.
I liked that little those little details really are so valuable to the bigger story, and I appreciate that, but especially in this movie. I think it's really damn good, and I really am thrilled that we did it because it's been a while since I've seen it, and I don't know how rewatchable it is on the regular.
I think that's a great point because that's why I don't rewatch it. I know I loved it first time I saw it. I rewatched it again. I rewatched it soon after I first saw it because you have to, like I said, you want to watch the beginning at least to kind of see what the things that you missed. And then I think I put it away for probably about.
I just feel like if you tried to watch this over and over again, like you'd see some things you liked, but overall, like I don't know that it lends itself to that type of viewing.
Right. It's not that kind of love of a movie.
Maybe not every 20 years, but you know.
It's probably in every 10 year. Yeah.
Yeah. As always, remember that constantly talking is not necessarily communicating. But subscribe anyway. Thanks, and save it for the pod.